Hi, welcome to AFTV. I've got Turkish with me. We've just beaten West Ham 3-1 at the Emirates. Turkish, there was a lot of eyes on this game. A lot of people wanted to see Arsenal fail after the back of the World Cup. First game back, 8 p.m. kickoff. But the boys came out with a victory.
Yeah, listen, we went into the World Cup top of the league, 5 points clear, but we still had a lot of doubters.
Yes.
When the Jesus injury hit, just our luck, the one game he starts after 60 minutes has to come off and then he's out 3-4 months or whatever it is. I'm hearing different rumours about him, but what we've got to do is forget about him. And I think the first point of call today, not because he was man of the match, not because he was the outstanding performer, but because he got a goal in his first game, and he himself has had a lot of doubters, including myself over the years, and that's Eddie Nketiah. Now, listen, in the summer when he got given the contract and the number 14 shirt, I was quite shocked about it, to say the least. And listen, I've been one of his doubters, and you know, this goal doesn't put that to bed, but he's at Arsenal, and I want the best for him. The best for him is the best for us. And the way he took his goal after a first half where I believe he done okay. I think he could have done better with a few opportunities on the ball, but overall the first half, you know, none of the players really stood out for me. Maybe Odegaard, actually. He was trying to pick the locks, but Eddie needed that goal. He needed that goal to kick off this chance he's got now. That's why he signed the contract. That's why Arteta gave him the number 14 shirt, whether it's Eddie that asked for it or Arteta that, you know, offered it out. It doesn't matter. He's an Arsenal player. He's our backup striker, and our main striker's out. He has to come in and do the job. And a goal from him, and the way he took the goal, the turn, the finish, it was a beautiful goal.
Yeah, it was.
So I'm happy for him to get that goal because it bodes well for us moving forward onto Brighton, Newcastle, Tottenham, and it might be 3-4 months that he's in the starting lineup. I hope he does stay injury free. I hope we do add depth into those positions too to help competition and compete. And I believe, you know, competition elevates the quality and the standards of players already here. So big up Eddie for that goal because he needed that, and we needed that, I think, as well as fans, because a lot of fans have, what do you call it, premeditated thoughts that they're itching to get out.
Yeah.
We saw it at half time. You
feel it.
We done Match Day Live half time. A lot of the, you know, super chats, a lot of the comments were about Eddie Nketiah. I thought that was very unfair. And this is coming from one of the most pessimistic Arsenal fans about online, me. And, you know, if I'm telling people to take it easy a bit, then right, like, things have changed over the last 6 to 12 months or so. But he needed that goal. Beautiful finish. Beautiful end to, you know, overall a good performance.
Yeah. Turkish, what did you learn from today's performance? Because I think there's quite a few lessons from this Arsenal side coming back off the back of a World Cup, and obviously a West Ham side, 16th, but still, it was a big performance. What did you take from today's performance?
Listen, West Ham haven't had the best start to the season, probably the poorest one in at least a few years, to say the least. But across the season, West Ham always get up for a London derby. So it was a difficult game. I looked at their lineup and I saw Rice in there, I saw Paqueta in there, I saw Antonio in there. It was surprisingly strong, and they took the lead as well. And they held that lead until half time.
That's a big point.
And in hindsight, I look at it and I like that they took the lead because it shows character from Arsenal. We've got a very young side. I don't think it's the youngest in the league anymore, but maybe second youngest. Yeah. I think that, you know, it shows an immense amount of character. The way we kind of turned up in the second half, within 15 minutes, we was 2-1 up. You know, some might say, look at Odegaard, it was luck. But if you don't take shots, you don't score goals. And it wasn't a case of Odegaard took that shot and he scored a goal. No, Odegaard took that shot and Saka took it in his stride. Beautiful first touch and buried it past Fabianski. And that was the catalyst for the turnaround in the second half. An early goal, in my opinion, was vital. We got the early goal and we built on it.
Let me just get a word on you. We obviously saw Wenger in the stands. I've been asking everyone to come on. Nice to see a nice touch. And Dan spoke about, you know, they seem to be like they want to try and integrate him back into the, you know, the club in some capacity. Do you think that's what they might have planned, to see him come back after so many years? It was very, very odd, especially on a game like this.
It is, first and foremost, it's good to see Wenger. You know, I know it didn't end in the most positive way, but I also think it was good timing as well. Reason being because I feel like now we're at a point where we've forgotten about Wenger's downfall. We've forgotten about the rot that was created towards the end of his years. Arteta's done very well to change the squad about in the last 3 years. I've mentioned many times, 2 years ago, I struggled to pick a couple of players that I liked in the squad. Now I like the majority of the squad. So I think Wenger coming now at this time when Arsenal fans in general have not necessarily forgotten the bad times and the down times over his last few years, because I can't forget that, and I put the majority of that on the Kroenkes and the ownership. But he's come at a time when Arteta's, you know, refreshed the connection between the club and the fan base. He's put us top of the league. Well, partly put us top of the league. The players have done so too. But I think, you know, Wenger, perfect timing for him to make another appearance. And I heard Dan's interview, and I heard that he said, you know, there could be more to it. And there could be. If there is, there is. If there isn't, I don't care too much. You know, Wenger done his thing at Arsenal. He's got his legacy there. Yes, towards the end, he might have tarnished it a bit for some fans. But at the end of the day, I prefer to remember the good times now that the squad is, you know, refreshed in the way it is. Now that we've got a team that seems capable of making top 4 and potentially challenging for titles and major trophies in years to come. So it was nice to see Wenger there smiling. It's nice to, you know, hear that the Arsenal fans were out there singing One Arsene Wenger. That's all, you know, it adds to the newfound positivity that Arteta's helped bring to the club. You know, credit to Edu on that too, because he's been part of the signings over the years. And I know you met them out in, was it LA?
Yeah, in LA, yeah. So yeah, and it feels from when I met them, it feels, you know, it's different. They seem like they really are, the owners are really backing Mikel Arteta, and it's positive. Right now, and there's still a lot of games left of the season, but it was nice, and it does feel like they really are going to back the manager, and hopefully things can continue, you know?
Yeah, and on top of that, listen, the way we started the game, and I don't mean from kickoff, I mean about half an hour before, when we see Fabrizio Romano tweet about Mudryk, a bid's finally been made. Straight after that, we go and get 3 points after Newcastle won their game to go into second. I think it's been a beautiful restart to the Premier League season. I want to see Arsenal move proactively. Arteta's mentioned how moving proactively, he said it's idealistic, sometimes not realistic, but I agree with that. You know, sometimes you can't be as proactive as you want to be. It's just that I got used to Arsenal being so reactive in the transfer windows that I didn't think it was by chance that we was always reactive. I thought it was just the way the club is being run. So now to hear a manager step in and say, you know, ideally, we want to be proactive. If it doesn't happen that way, it doesn't happen. But he also mentions we've got money to sign players, the right players. I'm all for that, because at the end of the day, you can also sign the right players. You can sign enough players to keep the fans happy, keep me happy. But you don't have a divine right to go on and win the league. There's only one champion come the end of the season, and we're competing with a juggernaut in Man City. Let's not forget Chelsea spent a hell of a lot of money. I know they're not in and around the conversation. Liverpool's
got Gakpo.
They've just signed another forward.
Newcastle creeping as well.
Yeah, so to everyone, you know, questioning depth and all of this stuff, when you look at Liverpool adding another forward to their already deep forward line, albeit with injuries at the moment, it shows what you have to compete with. And again, I'm going to quote Mikel and say, you have to maximize every window to keep up with these sorts of teams. And I know Liverpool are not in the conversation right now about a title because they had such a poor start to the season, but you can already see that they're trying to get back there as soon as possible. You know, they've just swooped in and got Gakpo under the noses of Man United. I hope Arsenal go and get the job done with Mudryk. I seen on his Instagram story that he was watching the game. He's literally there, open arms, come and get me. Come and get me, please. You know, so it's such a good time to be an Arsenal fan. And I don't know the last time I could say that. It's not just 2-3 years that I've been feeling the way I've been feeling prior to this season and prior to last season. It's been a decade plus, because top 4 is not success. No. You know, and I think Arteta's pretty much alluded to that as well. Zinchenko's come out and said, you know, stop talking about top 4, it's the title. Martinelli said the same thing, and he's just a young man. So I think, you know, there's a renewed hope, renewed belief. And as a football fan, as an Arsenal fan, that's all you can ask for. Nice. Give us hope, give us belief. And finally, Arsenal are actually doing that. And on Saka and Martinelli, I mean, Martinelli didn't play much minutes in the World Cup, but when he did play, I think he done well. Saka, stand out for me for England. I think he was their best performer at the World Cup, and they've hit the ground running coming back to Arsenal. Saka's first goal, I mentioned it, good touch finish. Martinelli,
getting a goal as well.
You know, I think he meant that, you know, low near post. Fabianski was still at fault because no keeper should be getting beaten like that. But he done the thing and he got the goal. So, you know, big up Saka, big up Martinelli, big up Nketiah, but a massive big up to Odegaard, because I've mentioned doubters, and Odegaard's had many doubters over the years. I know when we initially went to sign him on a long-term deal, a lot of people favoured Maddison. Completely different players. Yes, same position, but completely different players. Odegaard's more of a conductor. And even in that first half for me, we controlled the game, the majority. We dominated possession, but we went in at halftime 1-0 down. That was through no fault of Odegaard. Odegaard was trying to pick the locks. He was, you know, playing in Martinelli into the blocks, playing in Saka. They would tend to cut in a bit and come back out. You know, with Wenger there, it kind of felt like the Wenger days where we're just playing in and playing it around the box, but never really penetrating. The second half comes and a miss shot from Odegaard falls to Saka. It's an assist. And then he gets an assist for the Eddie goal as well. So when you look at his numbers this season, and he's not just a numbers man, his numbers are catching up to what we want to see from him as fans in terms of goals and assists and contribution. He's a leader. He's our captain now. And I know a lot of people say Xhaka's the captain without the armband. I get that because he's got experience and you can see him lead at times. You can see him kind of calm things down, which was refreshing in itself. Over the years, we've seen Xhaka being needed to calm down. But Odegaard, for me, deserves a lot of credit in the way he's kind of kicked on now, under pressure.
You're man of the match for the game?
100%. There's no doubt about it. He's a special player. I call Odegaard a cultured footballer. I wouldn't call Maddison that. But that's no disrespect to Maddison. Maddison is just a different type of 10 for me.
I agree with that.
But as long as Odegaard keeps this, form up, it's not all about goals and assists for him. He's the conductor of the team.
He's the captain as well.
Listen, big him up, man, because he was the man of the match today. He was the catalyst as well to get us back into it. So, yeah, man of the match for me, and big up the boys.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.